There's something called postpartum rage, which is so real, and like I can't explain it. Like who I was in like those first few months was insane. I was so low. You could be surrounded by people but still feel really lonely, and I've never felt like that before.
Yeah, part of this conversation is normalizing, because I don't think people would ever be quick to give themselves the label of I've got postpartum depression, because it's seen as a weakness sometimes, especially in communities we belong to.
Yeah,
it's seen as just people have been giving birth for decades, how can you be, not even decades, centuries, how are you struggling with that? Oh, my mum was fine about it, all of that.
Living in capitalism means that when you are a woman who's just given birth, you can't necessarily go out and make money straight away, so like your existence is seen as
less than,
it's seen as pointless.
I remember seeing you like 6 months in and you were like, can you believe I'm someone's mum? Because I can't.
The first couple of weeks, I think, when you're establishing breastfeeding, it's gonna hurt. Once I figured out the latch,
right,
it was cool.
Time is money, so spend yours listening to me talk about things that are important to me and my people.
Time is money.
Welcome to Maya's Minutes. This is the Periods, Postpartum and Power series with my lovely friend, guest, all-round female health specialist, Juspreet. And we are on our final episode of the series. I know, it's sad.
It is sad.
You'll come back again soon.
I will.
So, postpartum. That's what we've saved up for. We've dipped in and out. We've been on the edges, but we're finally getting into it now. So let's go really deep. Postpartum. What have you known? What have you experienced? Where are you with it?
Postpartum is mad. Postpartum is mad. There's so much emphasis on the birth and the pregnancy that when postpartum, all the midwives and doctors that were really caring about you, they're just gone.
Evaporate.
Yeah, literally, they're gone. You also have like this 6-week check up. Because apparently after 6 weeks, you're supposed to be okay, physically and mentally. I wasn't. I don't think many people are after 6 weeks. My 6-week check was on the phone as well. So that was like, they were like, are you okay? I was like, I don't know. Am I? How do I know? Another thing with postpartum, in like indigenous Punjabi culture, we basically say it takes 2 years for your body to heal, as opposed to 6 weeks in the West. And I definitely felt that towards like that 18-month mark. I was just like, okay, like I'm getting this now. I'm feeling, I'm feeling a bit better physically and mentally. Getting into parenthood, yeah, this is feeling a bit easier now. With postpartum, it's really weird because there's a lot of things. You know how we were talking about agency in the last episode when it comes to like giving birth and stuff? There's a lot of things in this country that white people, rich people will know about that like people like us won't necessarily know about unless we like go seeking it. So like hypnobirthing is like something that I knew about, not a lot of people know about, yeah? In postpartum, you should be getting physiotherapy and you should have a postpartum PT. This is not things that I know.
Yeah.
And you're my mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Trust me.
This is not something that I was like, everyone needs this.
Can I ask you, when we first met, because obviously when we first met, I was a pre and postnatal PT. What was your perspective of what I did?
I thought it was amazing.
Obviously those positive things, but could you see yourself using that service?
No.
This is the thing.
Because I didn't think, I thought it was for rich people.
You didn't think it was for you. Exactly. Yeah. And this is what's so funny, because I've got so many friends who are not necessarily even pregnant, but may need PT, like at some point, and it would never cross their mind to contact me for it because they just think, that's not for me though. Do you know what I mean? And they would even be more happy. It's not just because we're friends. It's because they see the kind of clients I have and they don't match that. They just don't look like them, or they're not those kind of people. So they wouldn't think that I'm there for them. Do you know what I mean? And so I remember once very clearly this girl I knew, and she was like reposting stuff to promote one of her friends who was a PT, and she was always posting his stuff, and I was like, I'm not being funny, I'm your friend. Like, why are you not reposting my stuff? And she's like, I didn't think you'd want me to because these are like ghetto people. And I was like, wow, so you think because of who my clients are and who your audience is, there's no crossover there? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, because if these people aren't my typical clients, it's not because I don't want to train them. It's because unfortunately these are the people that are, paying me and understand my service and all the rest of it. But it doesn't mean that the people that you're friends with or who your audience is are any less entitled to my services or
Yeah.
any less in need. I was saying to my friend the other day about how therapy is another thing that we only see typically, or like my mum has been by her family branded as like confused and she's got an identity problem. She must think she's white. Like, why is she doing this therapy bullshit? That's how they literally see it.
What, because she attends therapy?
Attends, gives,
Okay.
all the work. She's in and around people. They just think this is a joke thing, basically. And that is not an uncommon response from the majority of, sadly, people of colour, because it's like this. Even in Never Have I Ever. Don't know, have you watched it?
Yeah.
Love it.
Hate
Do you know
it.
that? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we won't go there. The mum was like, I don't go to therapy. Therapy's for white people.
Yeah.
That's just it. It's just, even when I first started being friends with you, your perspective has changed drastically.
Yeah,
but I
definitely.
remember like that didn't shock me. I
Yeah.
expect that. And so it's not the rich white people, in my opinion, that are most in need of therapy.
I think
and
they
of
do,
these
but they
things.
need to go to therapy for different reasons than what they're seeking it. But yeah.
Okay, fair enough. That's the best way to put it. Fine. But we need it more. The things we deal with on a daily basis, that is deep
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And we could do with some therapy, but it was just not a thing. We're not exposed to it in that way. And I'm not ignorant to know that my proximity to whiteness has definitely been the reason that I was able to even follow the path I'm doing. Like we always say, had I not moved to Barnet, yes, it didn't work out from an academic perspective, from like my dad's perspective, for example, who wanted me to do uni and blah, 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 which I didn't do. But I first started off as a lifeguard, then I became a personal trainer, then I did a pre and postnatal personal trainer, and now I'm in tech. None of that would have happened because my surroundings, my environment, all of that would have been so different to the point where something like health would absolutely have never been prioritized in that way. Like my dad, to this day, if I was to have a conversation with him, he would refer to my PT as that keep fit stuff.
Right.
That's the level that he can.
Yeah.
And he would, if I would talk about it with him, he would say all my clients were stupid, that they would pay someone to tell them to run around a park. Like, I just get them to run around a park. That's how he sees it.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it's not uncommon.
Yeah, and one of the other things is that we don't make space like for self-care because we don't think that we're worth it. So
definitely.
like I didn't think that like I would need pelvic floor therapy and
Do you think it was a cop-out to get that?
no, I was just like, what do I need it for?
Oh, really?
It's just like no one in my family had it.
I think
So,
there's
like,
an
I
element
didn't
of
know.
if I do that, I'm weak. Not that particularly, but stuff. If
I think
do
maybe
these things,
for
I'm
some
weak.
people, but for me, I was just like, no one in my family had it. No one even spoke about it. So I got to 6 months postpartum, and my back was still killing me. So I went to a osteopath. That's as far as I went. And to be fair, he did fix my back. He gave me lots of exercises, and within literally about 4 weeks, my back was fine. So that was really good. But in terms of like my diet, what is that thing called? Diastasis?
Recti.
Yeah, that's still there because I never dealt with it. And if I did go to a physio. There's this thing called the mummy MOT, and you can find a physio near you. I went to a physio, and she checked that thing, and she said it's not that deep.
I mean, there is an element of it does fuse back together naturally over a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And when you go very soon after your birth, it's unlikely that anything's going to really come of it because, like I just said, we know it will fuse back together naturally. However, there are things you can do in those early stages which will aid that process.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. The pelvic floor therapy was really helpful. But yeah, it's just not something that I thought I needed.
Yeah.
Just because no one had spoken about it.
So there are 2 prongs to postpartum from what I've seen. You probably told me there's more, and there probably are. But the clear ones in my head are the physical and the mental.
Yeah.
So physically, you've been very clear that you were struggling physically, like your body. I remember having a conversation with you and you were like, piece of piss, like the birth easy as, it was nice almost. But I feel like I've been hit by a train.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't even get up easily. I can't this easy. I can't that easy. And I was really surprised.
Like my baby was tiny. I couldn't even pick him up. Obviously I could, but like not without it hurting. If he was lying on the bed, I'd have to bend, and my lower back was just mash up.
So that is quite clear to me and like sad. But then mentally, where were you at? What were you going through?
Worse. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was really, really hard because your whole life changes, literally.
Would you say you
in a
were
second.
prepared? Because this is the thing.
No.
But I know. But people, like my mum, for example, always says to me, you need to be very emotionally ready, very this, very that, before you before. It's not a joke. Like, you can't just have a kid and have all these other problems you haven't dealt with, sort of thing. And I'm always like, I like to think of myself as quite a dealt with person. I feel like I've got all my shit together, which is obviously not the case.
No, sorry, I had an itch in my ear.
No, but it really isn't. It's not the case. So did you feel like you'd done that before? Like, had you emotionally sorted things out, or were there still things where you were just like, oh, that can come later, I'll sort that out?
I don't think that even if, like,
you're the most ready,
I still don't think that you're going to be ready, especially the first time, because you as a person, physiologically, you change. Like, it's a biological change that you cannot. How do you help that? It doesn't matter if you've got no problems. You'll find a problem in that state. You will find a problem. Like, the way that your husband breathes, or the way that your partner breathes, or the way that your friends like do it will piss you off. And there's just no explaining it. There's something called postpartum rage, which is so real. And like, I can't explain it. Like, who I was in like those first few months was insane. I was so low. You could be surrounded by people but still feel really lonely, and I've never felt like that before. Except for, there were so many feelings that cropped up in postpartum that I've never felt before. And I think I said this in another episode as well, but like, my mum always said, you're going to meet someone new at the birth, and it ain't your baby, it's you. Like, you're a different person. I was speaking to one of my best friends the other day. She gave birth a year after me. We miss the people who we were before giving birth, because you're a different person. You're never going to get this Maya back. Once you give birth, she's gone, she's dead, like literally burnt in the flames.
Okay.
No, I'm being serious though. You're not the same person, and you mourn that person, you mourn that life, and that's
what is it about you miss, or about her? And I'm only asking you this as well because people listening are like literally with their tissues nodding.
I could just get up and go.
Yeah, so
carefreeness. I could go out to dinner with my friends and wear whatever I wanted. I didn't have to worry about, my boobs leaking or my stomach hanging out. I could put on my skinny jeans and a nice top and go. Didn't have to worry about putting a baby to bed first. It's just little things, but like, you come to terms with it, innit, because you made that decision. But some days it's harder because it's just like, I wish I could just do what I want to do. And then childcare costs, like working whilst having a kid who's not in school is so hard, because my son doesn't go nursery full time because it's just ridiculous. So we have to like manage that with, extended family, grandparents.
And you're lucky you got them.
Very. And I'm really conscious that not a lot of people have support from extended family. So there's a lot of things to consider. But at the same time, if you think about it too much, there's never going to be a perfect time to have a kid.
No.
Ever.
No.
You're never going to be mentally ready. You're never going to be, physically ready.
So just to delve into a bit more about the mental health side of it, what was your experience?
It was horrible.
How did that manifest though? What were things every day that you could know?
Couldn't leave the house.
Right. So anxiety.
Yeah. A lot of anxiety about leaving the house. Anxiety about like when baby went to sleep, I'd be like, is he breathing?
Wow.
Things that I don't even recognise in myself now. Like now he goes to sleep, I don't even put a monitor on because I can hear him. Like I know that he'll just get up. Obviously he's a lot bigger now. He's a toddler. If he needs something, he'll get up and come to me. But in those first, you're just so worried about this person.
You said, I remember we had a conversation about how you saw a therapist and you thought you weren't a good mum.
Oh yeah, fully. I didn't know what I was doing. They're all really irrational thoughts. There was like a time like in our old house, there was a really big mirror, really big heavy mirror on top of the sofa, and he was lying on the sofa and I was like, that mirror's gonna fall and hit him. Do you know what I mean? Like things like that. Like you're always thinking of the worst, or I was always thinking of the worst case scenario. I was like, oh, if I give, someone's going to pick him up and drop him. Or, oh my God, they're not holding him properly, they're going to drop him on the floor. So just really weird thoughts that is just like, this isn't me.
So do you think that was postpartum depression?
Yeah, fully.
And do you think everybody has an element of it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it depends on your
situation. Because based on what you're saying, I can't imagine that people don't. Do you know what I mean? Because like you say, it's extremely lonely, it's extremely scary, and all the rest of it. You have already said on the previous episodes, you're extremely blessed with your extended family and where you fall in your family as the youngest. Yeah. So if anyone is going to have people around them, it's going to be you.
Yeah.
And even you felt really lonely. So I feel like part of this conversation is normalizing, because I don't think people would ever be quick to give themselves the label of I've got postpartum depression, because it's seen as a weakness sometimes, especially in communities we belong to.
Yeah.
It's seen as, people have been giving birth for decades, how can you be, not even decades, centuries, how are you struggling with that? Oh, my mum was fine about it, all of that. So I think it definitely does have negative connotations, but I think as we know more now and we look around, I think people would struggle to find a mother who hasn't dealt with some version of that.
I think the other thing is that obviously, like, living in capitalism means that when you are a woman who's just given birth, you can't necessarily go out and make money straight away. So, like, your existence is seen as
less than.
It's seen as pointless. Do you know what I mean? Like, children and mothers who don't work are seen as, like, literally pointless. And that can be quite hard as well. So I think things like that, I think it's more of a social thing. I think it is definitely more like of a socialised thing, because I can't imagine my grandma honestly having these, I can't imagine her having these feelings. She might have, and maybe I'm just making an assumption that is completely wrong, but I think, you know how we as a generation theorise the fuck out of everything? I don't think it's good for us.
Yeah.
I think it gets we get quite self-centered.
Agree.
And I think that makes things like depression and anxiety worse. Not saying they don't exist, they do.
Yeah.
And I don't think the economic climate or just the general political climate that we live in is easy. But I think when we theorise things too much, we make things harder for ourselves. Whereas if we just said, come, just keep going. And that is something that I had to do. My husband was just like, come. Like, he just had to sit me down, just be like, dude, like, the only way you're going to get out of this is if you stop. Like, stop being so much in your head. Stop giving yourself so much importance. And at first I was just like, how dare you? I've just given birth. And then I was like, do you know what? You're right. You just got to crack on in it. Like, stop thinking about it too tough and just crack on. And then, yeah, you just got to get on with it, innit? Because life, no one else cares and no one else is coming to save you.
Yeah. I mean, I am with that, but I also want to have some ideas of how you... Because cracking on doesn't mean ignoring. She doesn't mean crack on and forget this is upsetting you. She means crack on with working towards solving this. Yeah. Right?
Maybe. No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And in the short term, it means getting up, have a shower, make some food. Do like for me, it's like doing a menial task like washing the dishes or something. Yeah, just to get you out of that funk. Just start moving your body and move that energy. And then eventually you'll figure it out, but you gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
That's one thing that when I stopped moving, I was just like, no, I can't do this. When you start moving again, you're fine. So you just got to do the hoover, wash one dish, drink a glass of water, like just move.
Make yourself a little routine, would you say that's good?
Cringe, but I had like a list of like 5 things that I could do. Yeah, one of them was wash a dish. One of them was organise one little thing. Say if I had my desk, this much of my desk or whatever, just organise it. Another thing was folding clothes. Another thing was have a shower. Another thing was call someone, which I never did because I did not want to chat to no one. So that was one thing, but I never used that one because I was like, I don't want to chat to no one right now. Another one was go for a walk. Walking was really helpful in postpartum because firstly it would mean the baby would go to sleep because of the motion, and then I would take a book with me, and we've got a park next to our house. Take that book to the park, sit down and read. And like in those 5 minutes, you feel like, oh my God, I've got this person back. Temporarily, but shit, I'm back. Yeah, she's in there somewhere. And it's just all about slowly rebuilding this new version of yourself. Who are you in motherhood? Because you lose yourself in it. You lose yourself to giving yourself to this new person. And you just got to figure out where you fit in that. And it takes time. Like it takes years. It doesn't take 6 weeks. Like that 6-week appointment is nonsense. It takes years. That's okay. I don't know how people have babies.
One after the other.
Yeah. Because I was still like, after like a year, I was still just like, shit, I remember
seeing you like 6 months in and you were like, can you believe I'm someone's mum? Because I can't. And like your baby was right there. And I was like, yeah.
I still think of that, you know, when I talk to his childminder and his nursery and stuff, I'm just like, hi.
Is this for me?
Your son's sick, you need to come pick him up. I'm like, me? I have responsibilities over a child. Yeah, it's crazy. Even when like you go into the shop and like you're buying Whenever I go out, I always think of him.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, what would he need? What kind of snack would he like? It's never about me. But that didn't come naturally to me. And it wouldn't.
That it wouldn't. Because when you're saying that, I'm just like, yeah, I do that already.
Youngest sibling, youngest of 5, didn't come to me naturally. So there's those things as well. Most people are probably adults before they give birth.
No, because like I can speak as well from experience, not of birth, but of what I do.
Yeah.
And on paper, typically, my clients are the most quote unquote together. They've got money, they've got a partner normally, they've got a house or multiple, they've got, you know, everything you'd think. They have access to things like therapy, they have access to physiotherapy, they're paying a PT, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these man struggle. So I don't think that the people are being adults will make any difference, because what constitutes being an adult? Do you know what I mean? To me, big thing that constitutes being an adult is being able to know that there's nobody else to ask for things.
Yeah.
And
No
that's
one's
something
coming.
I've been having to reconcile with from about 19.
Yeah.
So for me, that side of things, I'm cool. But then there's a whole different side of things, which is how in depth are you of that? I feel like I'm quite good at that.
Yeah,
but
you
then,
are.
like I said, living with my boyfriend, it wouldn't even cross his mind. With me, it crosses my mind that I wish there was someone I could call. But he doesn't even have that wish. Do you know what I mean? So he's further deeper in that adult bit. But then do you class it as an adult? Because then also part of an adult, in my opinion, is being able to ask for help, or being comfortable in knowing that it's not just you.
Yeah, I would like to say that that should be real, but in this society,
1,000%. Yeah, I know. But So
Everyone's
this is what I'm
very
saying.
individual. But
Exactly.
I get what you're saying, and I appreciate you trying to make me feel better.
No, well, you should. And I think it's amazing that at this stage, I feel like you know who you are as a mum.
Yeah.
And where you fit in it all. And where is that? What does she look like?
Oh, I don't know. I've figured out.
You've said from the beginning, one thing that really helped you was having like routine with baby.
Yeah. Oh my God. Massively having a routine. So sleeps at a certain time.
You were hot on that from day.
Yeah. And because it makes such a big difference to me. I can't be all over the show. It really messes with my mental health. If I know 7:30 he's getting up, then 7:15 I wake up, go to the bathroom, have a bit of something to eat, and then I wake him up and I'm a bit happier. Whereas if he's waking up at all different times, how do I do that? How do I fit those 5-10 minutes in for me? And then when he has that 2-hour nap in the middle of the day, either I will nap as well and feel great, or I've got 2 hours to just chill. Do you know what I mean? Or get something done that I need to get done. And then he goes to sleep at 8 o'clock, and that means that me and my husband have an hour or two together. It's needed, man. Otherwise you lose yourself even more. That was one thing that helped me to just cling on to like some form of me. And now it's really helpful as well. So if we're going to go out, we can schedule it around his naps. So if we're going to do long distance trips, he can sleep in the car for 2 hours. Now, when we drive back to Essex where my parents are, he's cool in the car for an hour and a half. Either he'll sleep or he'll just stay awake and listen to music and just, he's chilling. But the routine is what really helped him do that.
Good that you brought up your husband. How did those first months impact your relationship? And don't give the good stuff.
There isn't any good stuff. I wasn't gonna. There isn't any good stuff. At first, it was actually cool. First couple of weeks when he had paternity leave and he was at home, that was chilling. When he went back to work, I was like, "What the fuck? So how do I make food? How do I
exist?
How do I do this whilst this kid is latched to me? Even now looking back, I'm like, how did I not do that? But you underestimate how hard it is, because I was breastfeeding as well.
I'm going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah, so that was the hormones. Breastfeeding, postpartum.
Okay, I guess we're talking about it now.
Let's talk about
breastfeeding, because I wanted to speak about breastfeeding shame, which is something that people brought up a lot in social media, which has then brought the conversation back to breastfeeding. But I'm a person where I know it sounds really annoying, but I feel like I can tell if a person's been breastfed from how they behave.
You've said this before.
And I actually can. So I'm just saying that. And for me, it was never... it was more normal to breastfeed than anything else, because I remember very clearly my brother being born, and I was 3 at the time, and I was vex. And I remember all of it. So I remember him being breastfed. I remember everything about it, like the baby side of it. Now, even now when I see babies and I speak to the parents, I know so much. And they're like, do you have kids? And I'm just like, no. And I was only 3, but I obviously was
just the eldest daughter in a Brown family.
Literally. I was probably very mature for 3 because I remember everything. But anyway, so breastfeeding for me was just, that's how you give milk to a child.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was another option until I got older.
Yeah.
And then also my mum shared with me the battle she had breastfeeding me because my dad's family were very against it. And they said you have to give formula is better, and you're giving the child more
nutrients.
vitamins when you give formula, just like we were saying
again, it's
about
a colonial
the whole,
idea,
exactly. So how was it in your family with you breastfeeding? Was that calm?
It was cool. However, so I just breastfed because, you know, some people do like pump and then they also feed for a bottle. I couldn't be asked.
Okay.
Honestly. Because motherhood was just so overwhelming for me. The idea of like getting bottles and a sterilizer, I was like, I can't do that. I can just about like feed myself. Like, how am I supposed to do this as well? It was just too much.
Yeah.
So my son, until he was about 18 months, he still breastfed to go to sleep.
Okay.
I didn't find that weird. Yeah. I don't think toddlers drinking breast milk is a weird thing. Other people took issue with it when they found out that I still feed him to go to sleep. It was just the easiest way for me to do it, rather than me standing there for 20 minutes rocking him, like just feed him for 5 minutes and he knocks out. What's the big deal? And again, in indigenous cultures, that's very normal up until like the age of 4 for a baby to like not breastfeed bare. Obviously they need to eat to like get nutrients in it, but like maybe like
for comfort.
Yeah, here and there. I personally wouldn't do it till like the age of 4 because it's just long and it's very tiring as well.
And a lot for your body.
Yeah, it's really tiring, really exhausting.
Nutrients wise, you're losing loads and you have to eat loads and you're thirsty and
barefoot. Are you sure you ain't got a kid?
I know, trust me.
But yeah, no, it was fine. But when it got to like the VO mark, everyone was like, right, you need to stop now. You just need to, I was like, I really wish
we
that
put
I
up
could.
for it for this long.
Yeah.
Stop.
It's like, I really wish that I could. But it was more extended family, so it's not like I said, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. But then it was just like, do you know, I wish that I could. But if you hear this kid screaming when he needs to go to sleep and I'm rocking, it's not working.
Have some boob.
Yeah. It just makes your life easy sometimes.
How was it outside breastfeeding?
It was okay.
I mean, did you go outside much?
Yeah, after a bit I did. It was a bit scary, but my husband was always with me.
Fine.
We had like this cape thing that just went over and you can see baby and you can breastfeed. So that was cool. And then after a while you just stop caring. Just like, whatever. This kid needs to be fed, especially in that 6-month mark where he was only breastfeeding, not eating.
Yeah. I've found it bizarre that people take issue with it. I think it's absolutely mind-blowing.
I think it's weird as well, I'm not going to lie. Or people think that it's strange.
How dare you? This is literally how this child is eating and you want to be funny because I'm exposing a breast. Like, you don't watch porn. Do you know what I mean?
It's really weird.
How are you, like, it's okay if it's for sexual reasons, but because it's like giving someone food, you can't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's really weird. But on the other hand, like, breastfeeding is hard.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Establishing breastfeeding.
I remember you saying you were literally crying in bed.
Yeah.
Like, how can I do this?
Husband on one side, mum on the other, and I'm literally like breastfeeding and like not even crying, like actually like wailing. Do you know what I mean? Proper cry. It feels like there's needles coming at your boobs. It hurts so.
But I thought you said it doesn't need to,
much.
and it's like because there's not that much information about it.
The first couple of weeks, I think, when you're establishing breastfeeding, it's gonna hurt. Once I figured out the latch,
Right.
it was cool. But again, that's something that I needed to seek. Luckily, one of my mates is a breastfeeding consultant.
Oh.
Luckily. On the day that I gave birth, it was midnight. I WhatsApp video called her. But I hadn't spoken to her in months. And she answered. She's like, all right, this is what you got to do.
Oh, good.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, we had various FaceTime calls. She's like, you need to get in front of the mirror because sometimes your boobs are a bit, they're not the same. So you might need to, your nipple might be a bit that way or this way. So you need to move baby appropriately. And then you need to make sure, there's just lots of things like when it comes to latch. Another thing is that when you're breastfeeding, you still have contractions because it is a way for the body to like
keep the milk.
I don't know about that, but it's like when you breastfeed, it stimulates something to make your body go back together.
Ooh.
So it like stimulates the healing process. in your abdomen, so you have contractions so that your organs come back together. That was horrible. Because it was just like, why am I having contractions?
I thought that was done.
There's like needles coming out of my boobs and I'm having contractions. So that was a lot. So I get why people would just stop, because it's like, it's a lot. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things to it. Also, like formula, yeah, I get why people would give formula, because breastfeeding is long. It's really long.
Okay, but you didn't have any shame with it? Okay,
no,
good, fine.
Other people would say things, and when it got to the 12-month mark, I was a bit like, oh, bloody hell, like, maybe I should stop now. But it's just not that simple.
Okay, great. Well, that's been really insightful. Thank you. What would be your lasting pieces of advice, as if you haven't given enough, for the whole thing? I mean, periods, I mean gynae, I mean pregnancy, postpartum.
Just don't be scared to ask for help, whether that's taking a course, whether that's asking someone who's done it before. Just ask for help, and don't do things just because people around you do them. You can do things in a way that feels right to you. If someone is breastfeeding but that doesn't feel right to you and you want to formula feed, go for it. Like, just do whatever is right for you, and it's your life, it's your body, it's your experience. So just seek the help and do what fits right for you.
That's really nice. Where can people find you?
Core Health everywhere. corehealth.co.uk. Core Health on Instagram.
What will be something upcoming that you're going to be doing that?
January 2023, a 8-week course all about natural family planning. So
Wicked.
like all about, basically by the end of that, you'll be able to track your period in depth. You'll be able to track ovulation. You'll understand the 4 phases of your cycle, and it'll be in a group. But the group is always so fun and nice. And that's also, we're also going to be doing an in-person meetup.
Wow.
Yeah, in a venue with catering and all of that stuff. So at the end of the 8 weeks. So
amazing. I might even just come to that.
Yeah, come.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, great. Amazing. Okay. This has been beyond riveting. I'm so grateful to just have you in my life as a person, let alone as in all these other capacities.
Same.
So this was our first series, Periods, Postpartum and Power. I was joined by the incredible Juspreet. Please listen to the next series. Every series is going to be as good as this. And thank you for making it this far.
Thanks.